Hello and welcome to another Paper Classroom 5-minute video. This time on the topic of dry fabrics, and we're going to be talking about the structure of dry fabrics. So, three things we're going to be talking about: monofilament versus multifilament fabrics, the rigidity of dry fabrics, and the tension that we need for dry fabrics. This is a structure of a very typical modern dry fabric. All dry fabrics, of course, used to be just woolen felts. So the most important thing is the vast majority of dry fabrics are monofilament. These are monofilament. We've talked about multifilament when we've talked about press fabrics. So press fabrics have multifilament fabrics because you want places for the water to hide. Dry fabrics, you want monofilament because you don't want water there to hide. You want the water to be thrown off. So why monofilament? A few good reasons. First is they retain the permeability better throughout the life of the fabric. Second, they run dry. That's what I was talking about a moment ago. They will sort of cast off water and you won't have to carry water around and you won't have to evaporate the water, so it reduces your energy costs. And the surface of the surface of monofilament fabrics is better, and the seams of monofilament fabrics are better, so less marking of the sheet. And finally, there's a more uniform cross-direction profile with monofilament fabrics than there is with multifilament fabrics. Oh, not the final one. Just a quick mention that tension really does significantly influence drying. The greater the tension, the better the contact with the surface and the better the drying. Rigidity, this is an interesting topic. How they measure rigidity is quite interesting. What you do is you cut a square of dry fabric and then you put these in a tensile tester and you pull corner to corner, and as you pull then the dry fabric will deform and you end up with this sort of type of graph. So what you can see here is this is the force we're applying to stretch the fabric, and this is how much percent wise the fabric has stretched. And what you see is we've got three distinct areas here, for three different types of fabrics. If you look at the yellow zone, then we are pulling quite hard, but it isn't stretching very much. So these are very rigid fabrics. In the red zone, we don't need to pull very hard and it stretches a lot. So these things are not rigid at all. The perfect zone to be in is the green zone in the middle. Each of these has their problems. If it stretches too much, then what will happen, just like an elastic band, if you take an elastic band and stretch it, you will see the elastic narrowing. So this can happen with dry fabrics. Because of the tension on the dry fabrics, as you pull the dry fabrics, then they will tend to neck. They will come in a bit with the decal. With the more rigid fabrics, then these are they're a lot more difficult to drive. So a summary of what we talked about, the structure of dry fabrics today. Monofilament is the dominant fabric. There are some multifilaments, but monofilament is the dominant fabric. The permeability of dry fabrics tends to reduce as you go down the paper machine. So at the wet end of the dry section, you have very open, permeable fabrics, so you can encourage evaporation, but large fibres will tend to mark the sheet. As you progress down the machine, then you use different dry fabrics with different permeabilities, and you tend to reduce the permeability. One reason being there's little moisture left to evaporate, and the less permeable it is, then the less sheet marking you'll get. Too rigid a dry fabric will be very difficult to guide, so you've got poor guiding. Not enough rigidity will give you this narrowing of the decal. So thank you for listening to this video, and please feel free to follow us on any of the social media.